What's up? It's your boy Kevin to turn on this motherfucking YouTube shit. Wow, what the fuck?
What's up? It's your boy. Can't tell you two shit. Hey man, say man, we are lit. Let the team turn motherfucker. Hey, showing outside. Big crip in the gang showing outside shit, man. Free Palestine, free Congo, Russia, your thing, and Texas stand the fuck up. Each day is a new day to be a better version of yourself. Never let somebody bring you down, I'll step back. Never let somebody tell you who you are, but also to put yourself in a position you don't belong. Let's stay humble. There's been a revolution on this movement. Keep Yahweh first. Coming to the Black Hebrew Israelite. As a real Jew, we out here. Alright, boom. Today, to motherfucking day. Showing outside. Big crip in the gang showing outside shit, man. Gang. Ooh, showing outside shit, man. Bruh, your boy's ready for this video, man. Bruh, like I tell y'all niggas, man. The music industry, the sports industry, the government, and all the other like really high places, like, you know how far you get paid a lot of money on, even as doctors, you know what I'm saying? And like, you know, you get what I'm saying? Like, some little shit that's like, you get put in like really high places and you get paid a lot of money on, and you know, feel me? It just shows you, man, it's always deeper than what you think. You know what I'm saying? You think these people get put in a position to win off the strength of because they got the talent, or they smart as fuck, or they... No, nigga. It's people who are way smarter than these niggas. More talented, more funny, more creative, just better people in general. But at the end of the day, these niggas be part of secret societies, and they be like part of weird shit. That, you know what I'm saying? But when you got God Yahweh put people in places who don't even have to go through that shit to win. You know what I'm saying? And to be in a position to win. But that's why I be telling y'all. And this movie is called Him, with Marlon Wayne produced it with Jordan Peele and them niggas. This was a great movie because it showed you that a lot of times people be thinking that as a kid you grow up and be like, man, I want to be the best ever to do it, or I want to be this and that, not knowing that, bitch. It's some crazy shit in this motherfucking world, bro. And you gotta really stand your morals and your integrity as a person. You know what I'm saying? To actually get to where you're trying to get to in life without being falling or being fake. The shit that, you know what I'm saying, behind scenes or behind closed doors. You gotta be you. You can't be no, you know what I'm saying? So we got the movie. Let's get into it. Bruh, y'all don't understand. I want to watch this movie so bad. Him by Marlon Wayne, because it's like, what they be saying in this movie be real. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's a lot of hidden shit that we just don't know. But, nigga, I'm a hood nigga, bitch. I had to sneak into the movie theaters. Nigga, fuck they talking about?
Has been out for about a month now, and it's clear it didn't live up to the hype. Before the movie was released, people saw Jordan Peele's name attached to it and expected another interesting multi-layered movie with a deep message connecting it all. Instead, they got a poorly pasted, poorly executed disaster that failed to meet the expectations of viewers and critics in almost every aspect. This has left him with a low 31 Rotten Tomato score. Most people simply don't like this movie, with most calling it too nonsensical and hollow to be taken serious. But what if I told you that as poorly as this movie was executed, it still has a very important message encrypted into the plot of the movie that shouldn't go unnoticed? This movie pulls back the curtains and reveals the inner workings of stardom in the NFL, the real price to be the GOAT, and what that price actually looks like. This movie, although not as good, is the new modern-day Eyes Wide Shut, as it offers the viewers an inside look at the dark price of growth in sports and every other entertainment industry. As they simply put it, to be the GOAT, what are you willing to sacrifice?
And the film begs the question, to be a star,
nigga,
what are you willing to sacrifice?
I think because they don't have enough black people with a lot of money on, nigga,
most people don't
to
like
watch this
this
shit.
It's because it shows them a side they have never seen before of a sport they love so much, something they don't completely understand. But today, in this video, I will tell you exactly what the movie Him is really about. Then you will see just how important the message of this movie truly is. Hey guys, I hope all is well. Welcome back to The Truth Is, where I drop new videos exposing the truth weekly. In today's episode, we will be talking about the movie Him. I want to warn you that there will be spoilers ahead. But before we begin, make sure to subscribe, like, comment, and share this video so we can get this video seen by as many people who need to see it. Simply by leaving a like and a comment, you can help this information spread to others. I want to thank you all. Now, let's get right into it. Before the movie even officially came out, it had already begun receiving negative reviews, as critics had collectively destroyed expectation for the movie with their early critique of it. I agree that after watching this movie, I can confirm it lacks in a lot of places, specifically in the timing and pacing of the film. It doesn't take its time to properly introduce its concepts to the fans before dropping the entire plot on you in the last 15 minutes. It goes from 0 to 100 real quick until it crashes horribly at the end. But even with that being true, the movie still isn't that bad, and in fact, it has a very important message encrypted into its plot. Sadly, most who watch this movie aren't picking up on it, which then makes the movie seem even worse than it is. Now, I wanted to make this video when the movie initially came out in theaters, but I felt that it would be hard to analyze this film on first watch, so I decided to wait until it became available for rent on streaming platforms, and then I rented it. Now, after seeing this movie, I will say that while I wasn't a fan of the excessive violence or the pacing, I still think the movie is decent. But what is truly great about this movie is the message. It had an extremely important message, and I wish they would have better produced the movie so more people would understand what it was trying to say. Like I said earlier, I compare this movie to the modern day Eyes Wide Shut. Obviously, this movie doesn't come close to the quality of Eyes Wide Shut, but just like Eyes Wide Shut, it reveals the dark side of reality in a raw way. Just like Him, Eyes Wide Shut was a movie that most people just didn't really understand when it came out. This is exactly what's going on with Him. People just don't understand the film. Before I explain what the movie is about, let me summarize the movie really quickly. Now again, I want to warn you there will be spoilers ahead. The movie Him is about an athlete named Cameron who grows up admiring a football star named Isaiah White, who is seen as the GOAT. Cameron's father, who was a massive football fan, tells him that one day he will be the next GOAT. He then trains and pushes his son, grooming him to be a football superstar. When Cameron gets older, he is looked at as one of the next potential GOATs in football. His future looks bright, and it seems all his hard work is starting to pay off as the league starts showing interest in him. When he starts going through the process of being drafted into the league, things take a dark turn. Starting the day before his audition, when he was randomly attacked by a man wearing a goat mask. The man hit Cameron over the back of the head, causing him to have a concussion and resulting in brain damage. This forces Cameron to avoid playing during his audition, which he thought destroyed his chances of getting drafted. But luckily for him, his agent Tom managed to get him an opportunity with the NFL team, the Saviors, the same team his idol Isaiah is part of. His agent tells Cameron that he can get him on the team, but he has to agree to train with his idol Isaiah for a week so he can confirm he's the one. Cameron agrees, and he is then driven to Isaiah's compound. The first thing he encounters is a group of superfans who lose their minds when they realize Cameron is not Isaiah. Cameron then meets his idol and begins his training, impressing Isaiah quickly. After practice, Cameron gets into an ice bath while Isaiah is having his blood drawn, and Cameron asks why is he doing that, with Isaiah telling him he likes to store his blood when it's at its peak, so he can use it for a later game. He then offers Cameron some of his blood, but he refuses. But moments later, as one of the men working for Isaiah is walking out, he injected Cameron with Isaiah's blood. This is where things begin to get weird. The next day, Cameron goes to practice, and Isaiah takes things to a dark place. He makes one of the athletes who's training with them stand in front of a throwing machine. Isaiah then makes Cameron race against a 2-second clock. Every time he fails to beat the clock, Isaiah then releases a ball that hits the athlete in the face. He does this until Cameron succeeds. Sometime after this, Cameron is introduced to Isaiah's wife, Elsie, who invites him to go party with her. After partying, Cameron falls asleep, and the next day, he's taken to a desert to shoot guns with Isaiah. While at the desert, Isaiah makes Cameron an interesting offer. He tells him that if he manages to shoot a dummy they had set up, he would give him anything he wants. But Cameron refuses his proposal as he tells him he doesn't want any handouts. This is a very important scene, and we will come back to this later. So make sure you watch this video to the end. The next day, Cameron is getting interviewed at Isaiah's compound, and he talks about how his father died shortly after he told him he didn't want to be a football player anymore. After the interview, Isaiah's wife invites Cameron to a party, telling him that she managed to get him a deal with the owner of the Saviors, but they want to meet him at this party first. Cameron agrees.
Nah, people don't like this shit. The niggas who go through the shit.
Before Elsie brings him in, Cameron questions Elsie about the location since it seems sketchy. Elsie tells him they use these discreet locations because they don't want people to know about their strange rituals. When Cameron walks into the club, one of Isaiah's employees tried to warn Cameron about what's going to happen, warning him to run while he still can. Cameron doesn't understand and continues on. He then meets up with his agent, who introduces him to the team's owner. He then sits on a table with all of them, where his agent asked him if he's ready to take the next step. With Cameron nodding yes, he is then given wine to drink that seems to be infused with Isaiah's blood. When he drinks it, Isaiah wakes up on cue, knowing that he had drunk his blood. After drinking the wine, Cameron starts partying as Elsie is seen killing and sacrificing the man that tried to warn him. Cameron then walks into a room and finds a goat mask similar to the one the person who attacked him was wearing at the beginning of the movie. When he lifts the mask up, he finds a decapitated head of the man who tried to warn him. The next day, Cameron wakes up in an ice bath hooked up to an IV of Isaiah's blood. He is lying down being scanned by a machine, while on top of this symbol that we will get into more later. Cameron then removes the IV and goes looking for Isaiah, where he finds him inside of the theater room. Once inside the theater room, the door shuts behind him, and as you can see, the symbol that's on the door was the same symbol that was on the floor in the last scene. While in the room, Isaiah finally tells Cameron what has been going on, telling him why he has been injecting him with his blood, and why he was brought out there to begin with. Isaiah reveals that the GOAT isn't just a really good player. The GOAT is chosen by the elite, and there can only be one at a time, telling Cameron that he was chosen after his father made a deal with the owner of the team long ago. Cameron's father was in the military and was somehow connected to the league's owner. He offered his son to be the next GOAT and was grooming him for the league. Isaiah tells Cameron they had been grooming him his entire life, telling him they have been giving him his blood because it's a part of the GOAT ritual, explaining that every GOAT gets blood infusions from the previous GOAT before them. This is how they keep the spirit of the GOAT alive. Those who they choose to receive the GOAT blood become supernaturally talented at the sport. Isaiah then tells Cameron that for him to become the GOAT and take his place, he has to kill him first. Cameron and Isaiah start fighting, and Cameron eventually gets the upper hand and takes out Isaiah. Cameron then walks out of the theater through a tunnel that leads him to a field where the team owners are waiting with Elsie, who is holding his NFL contract. He is told to sign the contract to receive the gift, but Cameron instead refuses. This is when his agent Tom tells him that everything was done for this moment, his father's death and his attack by the guy wearing the goat suit. It was all done so that the Savior team would be the only team who could draft him. After hearing this, Cameron refuses to sign the contract, and then the team owners tell him if he doesn't sign, they will kill his family. But Cameron refuses and begins killing all of the team owners there instead. His agent Tom tries to escape, but ends up being dragged by a demonic force that was supposed to possess Cameron after signing the deal, and kills him because Cameron refused to sign. And that's how the movie ends. No explanation or anything, but there is so much jam-packed into this movie that we have to fully unpack. As you can see, the movie isn't just about football, but about the price to be the GOAT in football. As the movie reveals, you can't just become the GOAT by being good. You have to be chosen by the elite, who then groom you and use rituals to make you into the GOAT. It tells us about the secret societies that run the NFL and all pro sports, how they are the ones who choose who will be the GOAT, and how it's all connected to the spiritual world and occult practices. They also reveal that football is just the modern-day gladiator games, with the football players being the new gladiators who risk their lives to entertain and distract the people. In the movie, the GOAT is directly connected to the term in alchemy called the Great Work. Alchemy is an ancient spiritual practice that is at the foundation of many secret society teachings. Alchemy is a practice done by people that believe it helps them transform themselves from basic people into transcended human gods. In the movie, the term GOAT refers to a player going through the transformation from a good player to the GOAT player. The GOAT represents completing the great work. The entire movie was about this great work ritual. The great work is a ritual that takes 7 steps to complete. The movie happens over the course of 7 days, with all 7 days being a part of the ritual. In alchemy, Baphomet is a representation of the great work. In the movie, the GOAT is a deity, a demonic force that possesses the player who has the GOAT blood. That's why they were infusing Cameron with Isaiah's blood, or why the man wearing the GOAT mask attacked him from behind. To make this even clearer, they show the symbol of the great work many times throughout the film. The symbol of the great work is this symbol here. A circle within a square within a triangle within a larger circle. When Cameron is sitting in the ice bath receiving Isaiah's blood transfer, he was sitting over the symbol of the great work. Also, when Cameron walks into Isaiah's theater room, the symbol of the great work is once again shown on the door, indicating this was all about alchemy.
A lot of people don't like the truth, man.
From the beginning of the movie, they jam-packed it with references that we need to go over. The most important message was obviously at the end of the movie, where they wanted Cameron to sign the contract and get possessed by demonic spirits in the middle of the pentagram. When Cameron walks out of the theater after killing Isaiah, you can see he walks over a checkered board floor.
Yep.
The same checkered board floor he walks over when he's invited by Elsie to attend the party the day before. This is in reference to the Masonic checkered board floor, a prominent symbol used by Freemasons that could be found at every Masonic lodge. It's clear the movie was implying that the team's owners were a part of the Freemasons. This wouldn't be far-fetched either, because I have exposed football's connections to Masonry countless times. Walter Camp is considered the father of American football. He is credited with laying down the foundation of what went on to become American football. Walter Camp was a part of the secret society, the Skull and Bones, a secret society created by Freemasons that operates at a Yale University. The Freemasons have been behind football since its inception. It's supposed to represent the new gladiator games that is now being used by the elite to distract the masses and keep them occupied. This scene shows us how the sport of football is deeply rooted in the occult. In this scene, they also show a symbol that looks awfully like the Masonic square and compasses inside of the secret club the elite were partying in. From the ritualistic cheering and the disturbing idol worship, and even the idolization of violence, they were showing us it's all connected to the occult. The fact that they admit Cameron was chosen as a child shows us how these organizations choose their stars since they're young, grooming them throughout their lives to turn them into their perfect puppet. The last scene was meant to represent Cameron's initiation into the Freemasons that took place after his death and rebirth ritual, how he had to sell his soul to make it big and allow himself to be used by demonic spirits. The scene right before the contract scene was Cameron fighting Isaiah to the death. This scene was meant to represent 2 things. 1, comparing the football players to gladiators who fight to the death for the entertainment of the masses. And 2, to show Cameron's death and rebirth ritual. In the great work, one of the steps is the death and rebirth, when the person kills their old self to be reborn as their new great self. When Cameron killed Isaiah, he was reborn. That's why in the very next scene, he is shown walking through the checkerboard floor covered in blood. This is representing his death and rebirth after completing the great work. As when we're born in blood. Another important scene that ties this all to selling your soul to the devil is when Isaiah takes Cameron to the desert to shoot guns. While he was there, Isaiah offered Cameron to sell his soul for the world. Just like in the Bible, when Satan offered Jesus the world if he bowed down and worshipped him, Isaiah offered Cameron the world if he did as he said. But Cameron refused the offer, just like Jesus refused Satan's. Another important thing they revealed was how the elite sent the woman to honeypot Cameron. In the movie, Isaiah's wife Elsie is the honeypot handler who is sent in to groom Cameron. She is used to bring him in and get him to sign. As even after Cameron had everything he wanted in front of him, he still chose to deny the deal and keep his soul. I believe this message is truly important, and I'm surprised those behind this movie even put this message in there. But this movie obviously shows us in a satanic way with all the violence and blood. But at least Cameron refused the deal and walked away with his soul. Cameron did the right thing, and we know many won't do the right thing when it comes to a situation like this. Many would choose to have the world instead of their soul, and we see this every day. Cameron refused to give up his soul to become the GOAT. Now, in a way, I felt like those behind this movie were hiding the truth in plain sight. This movie was basically a confession, which makes me believe that the movie was purposely trashed by critics and paced wrongly by the studios who edited it on purpose to ensure the movie wouldn't be received positively. While the movie was executed poorly, the message is still loud and clear. If you want to be the GOAT, you have to pay a dark price. A price that Cameron learned isn't worth it. I'm going to end this one here. I want to thank you.
Shout out to Real Enigmas and Theories. You finna watch him break down the GOAT.
So far, 2025 has really been that year that scratched that horror/thriller itch. And it just keeps coming with more fuel for the fire as we move towards the end of 2025.
Yup.
And I'm going to keep it a beanbag with
Been
you.
going crazy.
The horror genre has dominated the box office
Most
and
definitely.
TV streaming platforms with the
Horror
wave
movies are
of
the
terror
best movies.
unlike anything we've seen in years. TV shows like Severance, Alien Earth, The Institute, even ones we haven't even gotten to see yet, like Stranger Things, Talamasca, and Welcome to Derry.
But so many scary movies I want to watch.
Woman in the Yard, Bring Her Back, 28 Years Later, Weapons. We're even getting a Five Nights at Freddy's too. But on tonight's menu, we have Justin Tipping's Him, starring Tyreek Withers and Marlon Wayans. I knew from the moment that I saw loads of symbolism in the trailer that I was gonna dive deep into
This is a good ass
Also,
movie,
this
nigga.
being Marlon's first serious role in a
nigga.
horror film,
Like,
had me
y'all think in the
eager to
movie
see what
theaters.
angle he was gonna bring
This
with
shit
his
with a
performance.
bitch or something.
You
This is
couple that with
crazy.
Tipping's direction and Monkey Paw Productions, and you have a very interesting combination of talent. Some critics out there are giving the movie negative reviews, but I think it's a solid film.
It is.
And I hope this subgenre of sports horror catches on. This evening, we're going to talk about the overall story, the cinematography, the historical undertones, and if you know me, we're definitely going to speak about the esoteric symbolism and the not-so-hidden.
But this shit finna get crazy, nigga. Man, this
I want
movie
to
is
thank
lit,
you
nigga.
all for
This is a
watching,
good-ass movie,
and if
nigga.
you're new to Real Enigmas and Theories, welcome.
It's like
This
Jimmy
video
on
will
right
contain
here watching
spoilers
the
for the movie Him, just so you know. So without further ado, let's cook.
You know, it's a lot of YouTubers who watch
let's
movies
lay a
on
roadmap
YouTube,
down
but
real
it
quick and get a
costs.
few
You might get
things out of the
copyrighted.
way. The choice to use football as a backdrop for the movie is brilliant. A movie that speaks about corruption, secret societies with cults, the indigenous American relation, along with slavery, the Masonic symbolism of sacrifice and duality, and the spiritual supernatural with demonic elements that serve as a warning. I can totally see why some critics who are tapped into the dominant media structure would make attempts to deter patrons and slow the viewership. It really reminds me that Marlon is not the first Wayans to star in a movie about corruption and ritual sacrifice with football as the backdrop. That would be his big brother Damon with his role as Jimmy Dix in The Last Boy Scout with Bruce Willis. Jimmy's girlfriend, played by Halle Berry, is caught up trying to blackmail the owner of a football team to help Jimmy get back into the league after being kicked out for gambling and drugs. All from the 13 on the back of his head to the pentagram symbolism, the ritual sacrifice in the film is like Damon passing the torch to his little brother. There's even a deliberate phoenix. We'll get heavy into all of the symbolism I noticed on the first watch. So now that we've laid that roadmap, let's get into the story. We start off during the childhood of Cameron Cade, whose family is gathered in the living room watching the game between the San Antonio Saviors and the Atlanta Masons. Right away, they get into the Masonic Savior duality, and we see the checkerboard blanket on the floor beside Cam, and the Masons logo actually has a pointer trowel in it, or a cement trowel. As far as the Saviors, the Cade family shrine speaks for itself and shows that his father isn't just enjoying a Sunday game with his family. Something bigger is at play. We later learn that this game was actually a
This movie good as hell.
The whole family
The reason they put a logo on it because they want people to watch it.
Watching the game injury of Isaiah White.
Everything.
We later learned that Cam's father was grooming him for this transition along with the team.
You know how many people do this
So
shit?
that
What's
part
going
where
on with
he
these
forces
motherfuckers?
Cam to look forward to the TV, it's totally different. That shrine has Cam as the centerpiece, and after the championship win and the injury, Cam's father tells Cam to envision himself as the next Isaiah White, makes him scream it into existence as the next Isaiah White, makes him scream it into existence and verbally claim that spot from a young age.
It's so good because it's so realistic.
But we do know that the kid, or baby goat, is the sacrificial animal. Well, Cam's father passed away shortly after Cam confesses that he no longer wanted to play football. And after his father's death, Cam continued older brother asked why couldn't it be him, as if he knew that the mother and the father were grooming Cam as their chosen. It most likely would have had something to do with his birthday or possibly any birth markings on his body. Now, after that career-ending injury, somehow Isaiah White came back to lead his team to 8 victories throughout the last 14 years. And I mean, dude had an injury where the bone was sticking out his leg, and he comes back and through the course of 14 years, leads the team to 8 victories. I mean, this dude is the GOAT. Real quick, there's a part where we get to see the owner of the team congratulating Isaiah on his triumph, and a piece of confetti falls into his mouth. And I found this symbolic to his consumption of Isaiah and Cam's transformation. The earliest confetti was symbolic gold items and not paper. These represented fertility, prosperity, and abundance, literally sowing seeds of good fortune over a couple or a community or whatever that event was about. If one fell into your mouth, it was literally ingesting fertility, prosperity, and good luck. And eating what was thrown at you symbolized accepting the community's blessings and taking that abundance inside of yourself. Anyway, after that latest championship victory, questions about Isaiah leaving the league or coming back for another year started, and talks about who would be his replacement would start to focus on Cameron Cade. Because just as Isaiah was winning that championship that year, Cam was also having a great year. Starting off as a walk-on and ended up taking the starting position as quarterback, Cam has come home to prepare for the combine and show off his skills. One night while he was at his home high school field, Cam was brutally attacked by someone dressed up like a 4-horned goat mascot with a Lucerne warhammer. Now keep that in mind for later. We're going to address the mascot and a couple of other things. But anyway, Cam ends up with staples in his head like the laces on a football. And with this head trauma just before the combine, Cam had to reassure his fans by performing and erasing all doubt concerning his wellness to continue on with the career. As he prepares for the combine, the pressure from his family, his friends, and his head injury begin to weigh down on him. His brother accidentally nicks one of Cam's staples with the clippers while freshening up his cut, and Cam outburst in the dressing room saying that he was good to perform, pretty much telling everybody to chill out, he got this. So later on at a hotel party hosted by his friend Murph, Cam receives a call from his agent saying that he's been offered a training session with his idol, Isaiah White. And this is going to take place at his desert compound as an audition for the ultimate savior. He only has to impress the powers that be. So, of course, Cam accepts the offer and he celebrates. During these few scenes, there were a few standout lines of dialogue and deliberate imagery. Like when Murph's party address shows in Cam's text messages. You can see that it's at 1717 Masonic Avenue. I noticed that Isaiah's number is 10 and Cam's is 7, or 107, which equals 17. And the more I think about it, there looks like everyone around him was in on the fact that he was the chosen one to be initiated. Even the doctor, after he got the staples in his head, had a savior's clock on the wall, and as a fan, she pushed him to perform at the combine. I mean, this dude had staples in his head that were still bleeding from time to time, and his doctor tells him to go play football. This, to me, also explains why his family would watch Isaiah's injury tape over and over again and act like they were watching it for the first time. It was like a form of repetition-based conditioning. Later on, we see Isaiah doing the same thing with tapes of his fans screaming. We'll talk about that in a few. But the other thing that stood out was Cam's agent at the press conference saying that Cam wasn't some prize pig being shown off at a county fair. That actually connects to the football because the pig is the sacrificial animal used to produce early footballs. So let's talk about the esoteric details about American football for a second. The American football field encodes the ancient equation of squaring the circle. The rectangle measures 300 by 160 feet, giving giving an area of 48,000 square feet.
With the
and
golden
it also serves as a canvas for the Fibonacci spiral.
Yeah,
the
golden
ball
circle,
is
golden
shaped like
spiral.
a vesica Pisces, or the cosmic egg, or the fish's bladder. And the first football was made from an inflated pig's bladder, the swine. It used to be called the pigskin, making the ball itself represent the sacrifice or ritual offerings where the animal's life energy is given for an exchange of power. Or ritual offerings where the animal's life energy is given for an exchange of power. Each pass or kickoff creates a spiral across the spiral field. So the game is being played within a field pattern after both the cosmic egg and the geometry of creation. And on a larger scale, the entire field, including the end zones, the sidelines, that all equals out to 57,600 square feet. And that's real close to 1.32 acres, tying the sport back to the ancient acre, which is the sacred measurement of land used in agriculture and temple building. The foot is also an ancient measurement. And the goalposts rise like vertical gateways or twin pillars like Boaz and Joaquin. The cosmic egg has to complete a rite of passage between the giant number 11 on a field with 11 players against 11. Even soccer, also known as football, has 11 on each team. And the ball is also a pattern of 11, with 32 patches of pentagons and hexagons to form one ball. The pentagons representing 5 and the hexagons representing 6. That pattern is another number 11. And 32 patches for one ball equals the Masonic height of 33, which is 3 times 11. Now get this. The football fields in the U.S. used to be marked at the 33rd yard line because of the old way of dividing up the field. Up until 1912, fields were 110 yards long. 110. 110. That makes another 11. 18th through the 19th century America was saturated with Masonic architects, politicians, and educators. The Ivy League schools where American footballs were born, Harvard, Yale, Princeton,
it's all
were Masonic breeding grounds. Early football origin overlaps with the boom in Masonic lodge construction and the fraternal rites societies on campus like the Skull and Bones at Yale, Scroll and Key, etc. And during the 1860s, America was fresh off the heels of a bloody ritual sacrifice of brothers and sons with the Civil War. All while the rules to the modified American version of this ancient game were being written at Princeton and Rutgers. Fast forward to Super Bowls always being played on Super Bowl Sunday, aligning with the Sunday ritual of solar worship. Kickoff often coincides with sunset traditions symbolizing the battle between light and darkness. Roman numerals carry initiatory weight in Masonic lore, linking Latin tradition to the Roman Empire and the sacred counting systems of time. The Super Bowl is the single largest unifying ritual in the U.S., where tens of millions gather to watch. Commercials often echo Masonic imagery, with checkerboards, black and white duality, egg symbolism, eye symbolism, and much more. And it turns the broadcast into a Masonic ritual of initiation through symbolism. The halftime show pretty much operates like a public ritual filled with esoteric symbolism, like phoenixes and pyramids, or checkerboard floors, the vesica Pisces. It's all in the stage design. Many halftime performers have been accused of invoking occult or Masonic motifs. Even in the movie's promo art, we see Cam with the Phoenix pose. Also in The Last Boy Scout, Damon Wayans can be seen wearing a jacket with the Phoenix on the back. We'll talk more about the symbolism later. Let's just get back to the story. So Cam makes his way out to the middle of nowhere to Isaiah's remote compound in the desert. And I'm going to tell you, when he pulls up, the scene is complete with ultra fanatics camped outside the compound, ready to risk it all just to get one peek at Isaiah White. One of the fans named Marjorie Pierce window of the vehicle to share her disappointment and disgust when she notices that it's Cam in the vehicle and not Isaiah. Shorty looked like Gladys from Weapon. The driver even mentions that Isaiah's fans are like a cult. And Marjorie ends up having an important role later. Anyway, Cam makes his way to the compound toward the entrance, and then he picks up the Amazon packages on his way. He takes a minute to appreciate the artsy furniture, the paintings, and the sculptures, and right away, we get to see a side of Isaiah that we never really get to see shine in most of the movie, and that's his connection to art and culture. However, he does tell the story of the Carlisle Indian School, but I'm going to give you the proper context. The very name Carlisle carries heavy irony. In its roots, Carlisle meant a fort, fortified stronghold, and the Carlisle Indian Industrial School was founded on that exact principle, a prison disguised as a school. After serving in the Civil War, Captain Richard Henry Pratt served in the lesser-known Indian Wars. He had overseen native prisoners of war at Fort Marion in Florida and brought his prison experiment north in 1879. At Fort Marion, he stripped warriors of their hair, language, ceremonies, and dressed them in military uniforms and drilled them like soldiers while he was forcing Christianity upon them. To Pratt, the native identity itself was a kind of captivity, and his motto was, kill the Indian, save the man. Both a racial and religious declaration that survival meant submission to white Protestant order. When the Carlisle School opened up in Pennsylvania, its first students were taken from their families, transported hundreds of miles away, and confined to the old cavalry barrack. They were prisoners of war in all but name, kidnapped from their nations and stripped of their identities. Their braids were cut off, their native names were replaced, and their spiritual practices were criminalized. And Pratt called this salvation, but in reality, it was a fort built of cultural erasure. I mean, look at some of these pictures on how the kids looked when they first came to the school and then being there for a little bit.
They whitewashed them.
That morning. A little bit.
They whitewashed them.
Now, Isaiah didn't go too much into it like that. He pretty much goes into the school's origins of the quarterbacks and how their likeness in the sport has become just mere mascots, like I said earlier. But we're going to get to the true meaning of mascot and why it's still even used today. Isaiah was also flaying an animal that he presumably killed himself. I mean, you see various hanging skins around with a couple handmade skin football, along with some statues and indigenous tapestries. I mean, dude's place is really laid out. Yeah. He could have easily gone into the comparison of the NFL drafting and trading practices in the slave auctions, but he demonstrates it during their first day of training with the first of many hazing rituals that increasingly compromise Cameron's emotional and logical footing. He tricked Cam into stripping down naked in front of everyone for Isaiah's doctor, Marco, to complete a physical. Also, to be measured as if he was actually that prize pig at the county fair. And like I said, the breaking of Cam continued as the days went on. Even right after the physical, Isaiah's wife, Elsie, asked Cam to put a crystal where his farts whistle. Later on that evening, the doctor performs a bloodletting ritual on Isaiah right in front of Cam. He's offered the blood of Isaiah, but declines the offer only for the doctor to give it to him anyway. He even says that some cultures would consider his blood as holy as he was leaving the room. But earlier during that physical, Cam tells Isaiah about how his father made him watch Zay's injury tape over and over, and Isaiah said that he had the same kind of childhood, indicating that his father had a hand in his training and upbringing as well. And I'm going to address more on this later, but I think Cam and Isaiah may both be related or actual descendants of the team owner somehow. We'll get to my theory at the end. It's going to blow your mind. Moving right along, Cam undergoes a series of hazing rituals and brutal training sessions that are followed by many visions and hallucinations. Some of the dialogue along the way actually supports my bloodline theory, and we'll touch on that later. From the frigid ice bath to the hot sauna, Cam is being taunted about everything from his light skin to his lack of endurance compared to Isaiah. There's a part where Isaiah displays his supernatural physical abilities by outpacing Cam while they run through the desert, and they nearly kills Cam right out there. But Isaiah, he was just running like it wasn't nothing. Before he takes off and leaves him, he even smirks and gives a looks like, yeah, watch this, young boy. But Isaiah isn't able to outperform Cam just because he's better. He does have another advantage. That advantage is running through his veins. Another time Zay displays his supernatural strength is when Cam is in the sauna and Marjorie sneaks into the compound and tries to kill Cam as he rested on the sauna bench. Cam ends up choking her out unconscious, but she wakes up and charges at him again. But this time, Isaiah steps in and he just tosses her to the wall, smashing the back of her head on the wall. And like I said, we learn later in the movie that Isaiah is one of a long line of recipients of men who have taken the blood of a deity, making each man the so-called GOAT, greatest of all time. But this acronym could also stand for God of all things, and we'll cover that a little bit later. During one of Cam's training sessions, Isaiah gets into his head and hypes Cam up and ignites the sacred blood that he's been injecting throughout the training. Cam has a head-to-head collision with another one of the players, number 47, and injures him pretty badly. As the other players and Isaiah circle around the man spazzing on the ground, Isaiah notices that Cam's transformation is taking hold and tells Cam that he's proud of him. He even says, there he is, as if a certain presence has shown itself inside of Cam. Then Isaiah leads the players in chanting amen around the man convulsing on the ground.
Damn.
Nobody even tried to help this dude. Like, he was down there done. During the visit with the doctor told Cam about a helmet-to-helmet collision that caused internal bleeding to Isaiah. And to see Cam take that kind of hit with staples in his head and not be affected let Isaiah know that Cam was definitely transforming. And it's later revealed that this all was happening on the birthday of Cam's mother. The collision with player 47, Isaiah killing Marjorie, and the sex party all on the mother's birthday. Yeah, there was a Diddy party going down with Isaiah's wife and Cam and some of her friends, and the doctor was mopping up the blood in the sauna. Like, it was crazy. But yeah, all of that took place on Cam's mom's birthday. The following day, Isaiah wakes Cam up after a wild night with Elsie and her friends. And this scene had me rolling when Marlon goes straight up Denzel from Training Day on Cam. He even did the Denzel face. Introducing and did the Denzel face.
Damn.
Nah, but he suggests that they skip football training for that day and go out on the ranch for some target practice. And Isaiah tries to make a wager for Cam's youth, but it doesn't happen. Cam's like, nah, I get mine on my own. I no handouts over here. No deals or none of that. Let's just get this. I might let you keep number 1 QB this next season. I might let you keep it. I wonder if he would have took the deal and missed, how would Isaiah have taken Cam's youth? Would they have done like a reverse blood transfusion? I don't know. I don't know. You let me know in the comment. Anyway, while they're out there shooting the targets and whatnot, one of the targets is an actual live person.
That's what I was thinking.
know the distance is pretty far, but if you're looking with the scope, then he should have noticed that he was shooting at a live person. Cam hits the target and thinks nothing of it. And to me, this was kind of more of an indication that he was changing inside. The next day is a press conference and a photo shoot where Cam gives a speech about not really wanting to play football as a child and continuing the sport out of respect for his father's wishes. That's where we get that Last Supper shot placing Cam in the savior's position, ironically the same position as a quarterback. But it was funny because earlier in that press conference, one of the journalists remarks that Cam looks like the child of Isaiah and his wife Elsie. We're going to talk about that later too. After the event, Elsie invites Cam to a party. Isaiah wants to stay behind while they go. He wants to watch some tape, as he usually said. She takes him
this
to
nigga some haters that put this movie down. This is a good ass movie.
Where he meets the team
and we watching it
owners
from
and
a different
investors,
perspective.
while secretly in the background, a ritual sacrifice of Dr. Marco is going down unbeknownst to Cam until he stumbles
I give it a 10 out of 10.
doctor's head on the platter. I mean, when Cam first walks in, he even saw the doctor, and Marco tells him to run. So I'm wondering if they heard that.
Most definitely.
I mean, no wonder he ended up being the sacrifice. Masonic and occult symbolism
But
everywhere.
they probably already knew.
Cam sat down at the table with his agents. The owners, a few other people was there. They offered him a spot on the team, and he accepts it. A toast is made with this red drink, and the moment Cam takes his drink down, way back at the ranch, Isaiah senses Cam coming into the power of that ancient deity, and he gets right up and starts preparing for battle because he knows it's coming. Cam ends up drunk that night, partying like a rock star before stumbling across the head of Dr. Marco, and then he starts vomiting liquor, diamonds, and gold chains before passing out. He wakes up on a bed of ice and nothing but his uniform bottoms hooked up to a bag of Isaiah's blood. And just as he's waking up, that last few drops of blood enter his veins. He leaves the room to find Isaiah in another room watching an eye-shaped screen on the ceiling, playing images of the stands with his fans screaming his praises. There, Cam and Isaiah,
which is crazy,
in a fight to the finish.
Good ass fucking movie.
Cam is victorious and goes outside to meet the team owners, his agent, and Isaiah's handler wife. The owners and the agent were dressed as pigs. There was a marching band playing while cheerleaders
good ass fucking movie
performing a ceremonial routine.
I get a 10 out of 10,
they were under some sort of trance. And that's where they presented him with the contract.
It's real.
And right there is where I believe Cam and the entity became one. Because Cam picks up that Lucerne hammer
y'all
and
hear about
what's her name? Contract, which infuriates the
Madonna
owner and his agent.
She used to go across the country and get African kids to do like blood surgery, transplants and shit.
His father was in on
she used to adopt kids to get blood surgery, transplants because she had some type of disease or some shit.
Due to Cam
like,
not
bro,
wanting to
real.
play football anymore. And that sacrifice made Cam come back to the game. And after Cam realizes this, he just starts laughing. Like, it seems like a crazy laugh, but he's laughing. To me, I took it as, you guys don't know what's going on here. I've accepted all of this, and now I am about to get rid of you guys and replace this whole system. That's what it felt like to me. I don't know. They really didn't make it clear in the movie, and that's what a lot of the critics are tripping about, but I still think it's a great movie. Let's keep going.
Excellent movie.
This is where the main owner threatens to kill Cam's entire family, and Malik stands behind him with the sword, ready to kill Cam. Cam ends up killing Malik, though, and Malik is the one who caused Cam's head injury in the first place. He's even wearing that same mascot uniform. Malik also played a crucial part of the brutal training sessions with Isaiah. But after
that name Malik is like in the Bible.
Cam turns his sights on the rest of the members.
You know what I'm saying?
And the band and the cheerleaders continue to play, seemingly unbothered by Cam slaughtering everyone except his team.
So that's what they were trying to you know what I'm saying?
But the evil deity in the Bible. In him, and he had defeated Isaiah in battle. So it's safe to say that he has given himself to the entity or submitted. You can tell the look in his eyes, he's not bothered by what he's done at all. In fact, he seems to have totally submitted to this entity and enjoys the power that it gives him. The same force that was present when Malik injured Cam that made the ball spin around made itself known in the locker room when Isaiah was sitting there after that championship, and it also makes itself known again by dragging Cam's agent to the middle of that pentagram before exploding his body as a sacrifice. And I do have to say that this whole scene looked like it was directed by Quentin Tarantino. We never get the Phoenix standing on the parents' ashes shot like it was in the promo, movie with Cam leaving with his newfound power and motivation. Cam starts to walk back into the compound with the hammer over his shoulder, smiling as if he knows he's the chosen one, and the machine is going to take and spin the narrative, erase all the evidence, and repackage Cam, and then the entity can guide him to the next mascot who's going to be chosen. That's right, I said mascot. And when most people think of mascot today, they picture a playful figure in a costume dancing around on the sidelines like a cartoon on a cereal box. Some people just picture it as a character that's meant to make the brand more approachable.
And it's not.
But the mascot carries a much older meaning.
Yep.
The mascot is an embodiment of
Evil
love,
shit.
spirit, and protection.
Yep.
So the mascot is an unseen influence designed to direct collective energy. In sports, the mascot is dismissed to a background decoration, but it's actually the living soul of the franchise. The players may come and go, the coaches rotate, and the fans shift across generations, but the mascot persists. It never ages, and it holds a symbolic authority over the entire group. Think about it for a second. Even companies use mascots in the same way.
That's fact. It never
Like
gets.
when
It
you
never
think about Ronald
ages.
McDonald or the Geico
Chick-fil-A.
Gecko, Tony the Tiger, these figures are living talismans of corporate power. And it's not just that we can see them, they also operate in the subconscious realm, attaching memory, trust, nostalgia, and loyalty to the brand. And consumers don't see them as that powerful. They don't see them as executives or anything like that. They see a friendly charm because the mascot hides in plain sight while people project their hopes, pride, and loyalty into that figure. That energy becomes like a collective offering. The mascot becomes kind of like a shrine. And this is the hidden power of the mascot, the hidden magic. He's not powerless at all. It's the most powerful figure of the organization or the business or the restaurant.
Because it never changes.
Because he kind of like channels everybody's thoughts. Like when you see that mascot, you automatically think about the name of the brand. You think about how the food tastes. You start remembering things. And that's the power that the mascot actually holds. Now, I know y'all think I'm thinking a little bit too deep about this, but the etymology of the word mascot actually confirms this deeper reality.
Yeah.
I mean, the word mascot comes from the provincial moscato, meaning sorcery or witchcraft. It's rooted in the word mesco, or witch. Even earlier in Latin, masca meant mask, or specter, or demon. The mascot was seen as an enchanted entity that shaped outcome. And like I said, the word mascot means sorcerer. It's only in this day and age, in the modern times, that it was softened into a mere symbol. It's actually
to make it more digestible for other
sorcerer.
people.
The mascot and the sorcerer. And they both point to the same ideal of the source. A sorcerer literally means one who draws from the source. So the mascot is a symbolic sorcerer channeling the energy from the group that it represents. So if the mascot ties back to sorcery and sorcery ties back to the source, then what is the source? The source is the primal origin, the God of all things, the architect of duality, the creator of both evil and good. The mascot may be in truth the most sacred and dangerous figures of all, the GOAT, or God of all things. After defeating Isaiah, Cam asked him, what is the opposite of a savior? And Isaiah answers him, a killer. But Cam says, no, it's a mascot. And when he raises that helmet, it starts to glow and everything. And so he like charged it up with this knowledge and this information. But here's the twist, though. This is the real twist. Cam and Isaiah were never chosen because of their skill. They were bred. And both men descend from the founders of that bloodline of the saviors, which is really a secretive organization that operates as
Look at the president.
franchise.
Everybody in the president is related to each other.
Keeping society behind sports, media, celebrity worship, all that jazz.
Look at the president. Everybody related to each other.
They're the followers of some deity. That's why you see people camped outside of Isaiah's compound. up. They knew what was going on. Even Isaiah's doctor, Marco, knew what was going on. Like he said, Isaiah's doctor, Marco, knew what was going on. Like he said, some cultures would find his blood as holy. Even Isaiah said it himself, that he thought that the blood was once a blessing. Like I said, Cam told Isaiah how his father used to make him watch that injury tape. And he said that that sounds a lot like his childhood as well. And this means that both of their fathers was on the same shit. I mean, there's even a photo that's shown at the end that reveals Cam and his father posing with the team's owner when Cam was just a little kid. It suggests that Cam's family had direct contact with the inner circle, possibly even a blood link to the owner himself. And that changes everything, because it takes Cam from that whole kid with the dream following his father's wishes to an heir unaware of his lineage. His brother was not chosen. And even asked at one point, why did they choose me? That line signals that the family always knew that someone was picked. Isaiah refers to Cam as African American. Maybe he knew that somewhere down the line, Cam's ancestral line contained that white elite blood and it was mixed in. Cam's phenotype becomes a visual cue for the audience, marking him as someone with hybrid heritage tied to the ownership. Cam's desire to quit football is a major disruption to the plan. And shortly after telling his father dies. That death was most likely a sacrifice to break Cam's will and shock him back into alignment and to reinitiate him into the path that he was bred for. As a child, Cam had a shrine in the family living room with him and the saviors as the focus. It had these religious creepy vibe, and it kind of suggests that his family may have been a part of some cult-like belief system surrounding the team. I mean, when you look back at it, everybody around Cam, his parents, his brother, his mentors, his girl, everybody treated his career as if it was fate. But by the end of the film, Cam kills the owners and the handlers who orchestrated his grooming and tried to control his life.
That's what I be saying,
he was
man.
always meant to be the chosen one, but the system never intended to give him true autonomy. That last scene was showing us a transfer of power, and I don't think the movie made that clear enough. And this is what leads me to my final remarks about the film. I think that Hymns is one of the boldest swings at the horror genre that we've got this year. But according to critics, it's one of the best movie, I mean, it's not like sinners or anything. But critics do agree that the visual ambition is undeniable.
Crazy.
This film is packed with metaphors.
If we get a hymn too,
as a religion,
nigga, y'all do a little better on it.
Gods and rituals as training drills. I mean, the structure is there for me. Critics call it hollow, repetitive, and saturated with abstract ideas that are earned by the plot. Some claims the movie drowns out its own visual language, a surreal horror without offering enough substance to hold it all together in an incoherent finale.
Makes sense.
I do not agree with those takes. However, I see where the notion springs from. For me, symbolism means nothing without structure. And I feel like the structure was there. Yes, the film is stylized and it's surreal and it's deeply uncomfortable because it's supposed to be. The grooming of bodies in the sports industry, the cult-like loyalty demanded by elite institutions, the spiritual coercion coming from chasing greatness at any cost. If the critics think the metaphors are too dense, good. This film wasn't made for casual consumption.
NPC.
This is for the coded thinkers, right? It might not score many points with the traditional horror fans, but it's definitely planting a flag in a new subgenre. I would love to see a film like this about the music industry, or podcast life, or even the influencer world.
Anything,
is
really.
A prototype for exposing hidden occult structures across all fame-driven platforms. You hear me? And that alone makes it one of those kinds of movies that you really can't put on a scale. All of the dirt you throw on it just proves that it's a seed. And when it takes fruit, it will bear the sweetest fruit.
This is a good-ass movie, nigga. Great
If
movie.
you like this video,
Great
go ahead and tap that screen for me a few times by liking
I want
and
to be the
sharing.
sinners, but
If you
you know,
haven't
it's
subbed
not
yet,
good with him.
hopefully this will be the video that'll make you do it.
Backdrop, exceptional.
That's all for my video.
Marlon,
I'll
you
catch
did
you
an
in the next one.
exceptional job, nigga. Great job, nigga.
I'll be back. So, like I said, bro, this movie was excellent. If I could watch the movie, I'd probably give it more than a 10 star. A lot of people who was hating are people who, like, you know, are part of the system or who don't want people to see it, because this movie was hella good, bitch. If I could, this what I done seen, I give it a 10 out of 10. Because this is real. Like, a lot of this shit, like, we see celebrities do the same shit, but they mask it as jokes. But they really be doing this shit. Blood transfusions and motherfucking eating kids and doing weird shit. Getting popped up and hit from the back. Niggas. And, like, it's a lot of weird shit that we just don't know about. You know what I'm saying? And the people that we fuck with, that we grow listening and watching, be the main ones who part of shit. But at the end of the day, man, you gotta have God in your life. You gotta fight for what you believe in and have morals. And you got to bitch. Hood and outside. Big crip gang shit.
Hey, Dad, you know, dog, when we link up, dog, this shit be legendary. You know this instrumental, you the engineer on it, so Kodak everywhere.